Yeah, General Jack Keane's here now. General, welcome back. I know you were overseas getting a first-hand look at a lot of the issues that we're talking about today. Here's the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S. on this 28-point plan that's been talked about for the last 3 days now.
And I think it is really important that there was a really strong commitment from U.S. Department of State and the White House to finally force Russia to put at least something on a paper, you know, to avoid being played with the peace, I would say. So I think having Russians preparing their proposals is something that was the original intention, just to avoid the situation of being playing around the talks, the real intentions.
General, go ahead and read between the lines. Are we on a new and better track for the possibility of peace in this war?
Well, I think what we really see here is the president's determination to end this war. I mean, we saw what happened as a result of the Alaska summit. You know, Putin made promises that he didn't keep. And then all the European leaders came to Washington with Zelensky, and they all pretty much were unified in their support for Ukraine and also for a peace process going forward. And where are we today? The reality is the president is still trying to get that war stopped, and we're putting together a process to do that. I think what happened here, the initial document gets leaked out, and it appears, and you know, so I read it just like everybody else, to favor Russia at the expense of Ukraine. But what was missed is there was an open process here. You know, that was the initial document, and the administration welcomed comments from friends and partners, Ukraine itself, European allies, and even I put together a group of thought leaders in Washington yesterday and provided some comments to the administration as well. So this process is moving on, and likely that document's going to improve rather significantly, because it is an open process. And I think many people missed that in terms of the initial thing that was out there. So yeah, it remains to be seen. This is tough stuff, Bill. I mean, we've got Putin on the other side of it, and the reality is he has not taken one single step towards a temporary ceasefire or a peace deal whatsoever. Where he is, he still believes that eventually he's going to break the will and resolve of the United States and the Europeans and the Zelensky government, and he will eventually have his way here. And that is the determined process that we're on here. Putting this peace plan together, hopefully with good security guarantees that certainly favor Ukraine as a result of the process, and some other things that we can do to help Ukraine, will convince Putin that negotiation is the best answer, as opposed to continue his wartime objectives to achieve his strategic objectives, which haven't changed. Is topple the government of Ukraine and expand into Eastern Europe.
General, I want to ask you about another issue we're tracking closely. Over the weekend, Democratic Senator Elissa Slotkin said she essentially stands by the PR video she put out with some of her Democratic colleagues, telling service members that if they feel military orders from the commander-in-chief are illegal, her words, they don't have to follow them. Take a listen to what she said yesterday.
Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes.
Couldn't you have done a video saying just what you just said, if you are asked to do something?
For us, it was just a statement widely, right? We say very quickly and to all the folks who come to us, this is the process. Go to your JAG officer, ask them for explanation, for top cover, for their view on things.
Sir, I don't have to tell you, but there is great risk in telling service members that they are the arbiters of what military commands are legal and which are not legal, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty outrageous. I don't have a frame of reference for it whatsoever. These are irresponsible, reckless political leaders, and I normally don't go after political leaders in our country, but they deserve it now. They're absolutely undermining the military chain of command. And who do they think our soldiers are? They're insulting the intelligence of our soldiers and their moral commitment to serve the nation by making these outrageous statements. And then when pressed by a journalist, Name one illegal order that you think has been issued. They can't find that. There is none. What is the purpose of doing this? What are they trying to accomplish? The last time the United States declared war, we've only declared war 5 times in the history of the nation. The last time was World War II. And presidents have acted since that time, given the powers they have authorized to take action against those who they believe are presenting a security risk to the United States of America. These politicians should stand down and deal with the events in front of them, as opposed to undermining the chain of command. If they want to criticize President Trump's policy decisions, certainly that's up for grabs. I have done some of that here. But to do something like this, it's disgraceful. And they insult the offices that they're holding, to be quite frank about it.
And by asking them to take on that risk.
Yeah. General, thank you for coming on today. And the point is, you couldn't answer the question. That was the point. Welcome home, sir. We'll talk throughout the week. Thank you, Jack Keane.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.